It's your girl, Sassy.
And it's Jax. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of She Thought It.
I said it.
So, welcome back, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome back to the show.
This is episode 3. 333. So, let's jump on in. So, today we have a beautiful and brilliant guest today. We have Mama Jade.
Hey, Mama.
Hey, my daughters. How you guys? I'm
Hey.
so excited to be here.
Thank you. We are
Thank you
honored
so much
to
for
have
coming
you.
on the show.
Goodness.
We
are
really
honored.
appreciate it.
Honored.
Truly, truly.
So, let's just jump on in.
So, today's episode topic is going to be what's really the deal. We have my mom here to give us some insight on marriage. So, that's what our focus is going to be on. Kind of just answering some of the questions from the last episode where we did have a lot of different types of marriages. So, we wanted to just get a broad idea and view from an actual married person.
Yes. And getting tips too for,
Yeah, for those of you that are getting married,
how to
just
stay married
so.
Yeah.
and, how to navigate through problems and situations and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. So hopefully everybody be able to pull some good tips and, helpful, insight on, being married and staying married.
Definitely. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my mom. Let her tell us a little bit about herself so you guys can get a little bit about who our mom is to us and get into it.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I am Jade Goring. I am the mom of Stosh, and also I have my beautiful kindred daughters as well. I have Jax and Tam, the whole crew. But definitely my daughter's Coffee and Viade. Big family. We continue to grow our family, and it's such a blessing. Been married 21 years and 7 months. I gotta get specific. But we're heading toward year 22 in September of this year. So it's pretty exciting. And it's a journey, but it's definitely something that I'm happy that we're talking about it, because this has been a topic that we've been hearing people concerned about, like the direction of marriage and if it's even necessary. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, so our last episode, we kind of talked about different types of marriages. There was one that Jackie was really strong on. I think it was like the marriage by design, right?
Yes.
And it was like where they can basically make their own type of commitments, I guess you can say, right? It was like more of if it's okay to be like certain rules, you make your own set of rules to be in this type of marriage. So if you maybe you want to have a boyfriend on the side, that's okay if that's how y'all got married. So it was kind of like that. So what's your thoughts on that? What do you?
It's interesting that they're putting titles on things, because this is something that couples will decide to do, and it wasn't a thing where you had to put a name on it. You know what I'm saying? To give it that title or that brand. I've had friends who were swingers, things like that, and that was something that they just decided to do as a couple. And again, if it's agreed upon, what is it for me or anyone else to say, hey, you guys, what you're doing is wrong?
Exactly.
Because that is something that it's a mutual agreement between two consenting adults, and this is what makes them happy. Is that my cup of tea? No. I'm just gonna be no. But again, who are we to tell someone what works in that relationship? Again, because those two individuals that came together knew what they were getting into, and they set the right expectations. So I think that kind of alleviates a lot of the pitfalls that people fall into when they don't say what they really feel.
Yes.
Or what they really want out of the relationship, so people can make a decision, whether or not they want to do it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't like it either, or when you're in a relationship and somebody making decisions for you, as in your spouse cheating on you and stuff like that. It's like now you're making that that choice for me, and that's not right. Because if you felt like this from the beginning, just let me know up front. We're both grown adults. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you should be able to tell your significant other, like, this is what I like. And if you don't like it, I totally understand. But I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna waste your time. I just don't like people, forcing something on you.
And then some I don't know. I know some people say like in marriage, you do honor and you like respect your husband or whatever, but it's like sometimes you end up conforming to their habits, but not like because this is the lifestyle they want to live. So now you're as his wife have to follow within that. You know what I'm saying? So like that's like something that would be hard for me if I was married to like have to take that stance. But I don't know, is that really like something now or like back in the day, more back of the day?
I think it can happen in any situation. I don't even think you need a ring for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, the way you get a man also, or the way a man approaches or the relationship, kind of depicts on whether it's going to be a train wreck or not. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of, and I keep going back to setting the right expectations, because we are evolving. Who you were at 18 is not who you were even at 20. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the more life experience you have, the broader your strokes. You know what I'm saying? You start to see things differently. You even just have a different perspective. It's like, I wouldn't have seen it that way at 18. But when I look at it now, it's like, wow, I have a totally different worldview of how I see my man and how I see myself. So I think people don't give each other enough room to grow. I think that really becomes the problem about like what you're saying, is that if that person doesn't allow you room to make mistakes, room to grow and learn about yourself, and then adjust and say, hey, that's who she is right now. I'm going to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Then I think that's where you start to see where real love is at. Oh, she's 20 pounds heavier. I still love her. She don't have to be 2 pounds for me to love her. And I don't need to remind her that she's trying to lose. You know what I'm saying? It's things that we do, and it's all about the action. It's not just about the fairy tale of I got married, happily ever after, the end. It's so much in between that, and so many building blocks. So I definitely think that what you're saying it's an in general thing. It's not a past, a present, or a future thing. It can happen to anyone at any time if you're not staying present in your relationship.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That's what I was saying. Staying present, and then also like, still bringing in that fun into your marriage. Like, how you were dating. Like now, understand like you appreciate date nights. You appreciate that time because it adds that type of romance, I guess, to a relationship. Because sometimes, it's always expected for some point you have a dry period. With anything. So I feel like you're always gonna have that dry period. But like being married 21 years, almost 21 years or whatever, you have something to fight for. So it's like, it's not something that's just like, okay, I'm over it or whatever. You know how we do, like, okay, on to the next, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to see marriage for 21 years, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, because, you back in the day, we would look up to like our grandparents and like how they were married, and stuff like that. But to still see like, younger people are getting married a lot faster now and things like that. A lot younger too. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Mama.
Yeah.
So, how, in your words, how would you describe unconditional love? What do it mean to you?
I think unconditional love is really just accepting people as they are and not trying to change them. And it's not saying you forsake your needs, because I think a lot of people get that part confused. They think because you're allowing the person to be who they are, you're now dumbing down who you are. No way. You should still be able to state, these are the things that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
These are the things that I need. You may not get it right away, but the way you bring it to the table is how the person eats, right? So it's like, you can just continue to have the conversation, but unconditional love means I'm not judging you because of your change, because of your growth, because of your, and this is not those crazy relationships where somebody's clunking you in the head every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is something where you're actually working and building a relationship with someone, and you have to go through the ebbs and flows together.
Yeah.
You're not going to always be on the same page. You're not going to always agree. You're not going to always have the same belief system when it comes to maybe a political thing, but just respecting each other, you know, and having that way of, I don't have to win every argument, but we can come to an agreement and we can just keep working at it. That to me is unconditional love, because I'm not saying to you, well, if you keep cooking like that, you're just gonna be done. Yeah. You know, it's not, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting that person in that space to feel like, if I don't get this, if I don't change this, if I don't, like, love her a certain way, she's, because again, we don't know. Everybody's growing, and sometimes people are very fragile in areas that they don't even realize how fragile they are. And the person that you're trusting with the deepest parts of you starts to be overly critical, or kind of just step on your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas. You kind of start to lose value, and you're not trying to, but it just diminishes over time. And I think that just goes back to what we were talking about. You don't realize something is deteriorating. You think everything is okay, next thing you're like, this is not me. This is not who I am.
Yeah, you feel like you lost. You end up losing yourself, and that's what it makes me understand when people be like, "Well, I got lost in my relationship." I'm like, "How did you? You know what I'm saying? How do you get lost in a relationship?" Like, but then that also comes back to self-love, because if you love you the right way, it's things that will signal you that you know that are not acceptable. So it's up to you to make that choice to make sure you don't go down that, you know what I'm saying, down the wrong road or whatever. And remember that your love is like really the best. Self-love is the best love. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, and then also with self-love, it actually helps you attract what you want. So you won't be looking for the wrong things, because you know how to love yourself. So that should just be like a glow around you, So
which goes back to when we were talking about being single, and I was like, it's okay to be single, and kind of get to know yourself and date yourself. Yeah,
it's critical. I think everybody, especially young women, we need self-love. You need time by yourself.
Absolutely.
You need to truly know, especially the world we live in now. You need to know who you are, in order to love anybody.
Correct.
Relationship, even just with friends too. Relationship with friends too.
With friends.
I just feel like everybody needs, self-love. They need time to.
But it transcends it, and the thing is, we always kind of disassociate life and what happens in our everyday life and relationships. They're all one and the same. Your relationship with your teachers, you think about, well, if I had a different understanding of myself, I might have responded to my teachers differently. I might have responded even to subject matter I was learning differently, because I was taking more initiative of how is this going to benefit me, this information. Sometimes everything is just so glazed over. It's just happening to you. Life is happening to you. School is happening to you. Relationship, guys, girls, and it's like you don't even realize where you fit in all of it. And one day you wake up like, what's going on? But at that moment, you've lost years of development. So that self-love that we talk about, it's like you kind of unwrap that package years later. But if you're taught it from like Riley's age, love yourself, Don't say that about yourself. When you hear those words of "I'm so stupid" or "I'm this," no, don't do that. You're not stupid. You're just figuring it out. It's like using those words and empowering people to know. So yeah.
Okay. How do you what are like 3 most important things in marriage to you? Like, what would you say the 3 most important things in marriage?
If I had to narrow it down to 3, I think it's many. But I think the first thing that comes to mind is setting the right expectations. And I go back to that because you start off at the same place. When you and your mate have said, this is what we see here in our relationship, and where we want to go, and what we want to do, and how we perceive our goals. Your dreams, your aspirations are not left and right, but at some point in time they kind of merge and go in and out of each other. So it's not a thing of where it's your career is screwing up my life. You know what I'm saying? Different things like that. But self-love, or love in general, loving yourself and loving the person as they are. Not trying to say, well, in a couple of years he could be or she could be. That has to be intact. And honor. Because within honor is respect.
Yes.
You have to honor, but you cannot honor a person if you don't honor God. And I find that if you don't have a respect for something greater than yourself, then it's hard to love anybody else.
Yeah.
See, it's very hard to even love yourself at times because you kind of will fall into that low self-loathing and disrespect and easily transcend that to someone else the minute they do something wrong. It's not always going to be roses and daisies and rainbows, but the minute there's conflict is when you really see how you love and how you're honoring, and are we expecting the same things from each other?
Yeah.
If you're expecting that when I speak to him or he speaks to me, we're not going to talk to each other in a certain way, and if it goes that way, then we know something else is going on, but it's like if you don't have those conversations, you don't know what you're getting. And one day you get it and you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
But did you? You signed up. You just didn't read the document. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't read the fine print.
You didn't read
the fine print.
We got to read. So those are my things. Setting the right expectations, love, and honor.
I love that.
That's some good stuff.
Major ones. 3 major ones. What would you say if you was married? What would be, or just
Girl,
in your relationship, what are 3 main things that, mean the most to you in your relationship?
Oh, honesty. I don't know. Honesty, I guess communication right now. Honesty, communication. And just like Mom said, set the expectation. Just setting the expectation, making sure, this is what we both want. It's not just something I want or you don't want it, So really just that would be my 3 right now. As far as
big.
Yeah. Especially because I'm in a long distance relationship. So that's a big thing. And communication too.
Yeah.
So based on my situation, that's what I would say. What about you?
Well, I would say communication is a huge thing for me. Also, I would say respect. Respect and I guess loyal / being honest. 3 big ones for me. Because I feel like without communication, there's no relationship.
All right.
Yeah, because everybody communicates in their own way.
And
So
sometimes
you have to, what I'm saying? It's just, you have to set those, I feel like any good relationship with anything, the foundation is really, how you communicate, how you put,
set the tone
set the tone,
of your relationship.
or whatever. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of relationships is that they don't set their boundaries from the beginning. They kind of like wait and they're like,
wait till something happens.
Yeah, till something happens and then they're like a big, but you never been, I feel like when you lay it out on the table, like if somebody, like when we talk about to the dating thing, I was like, I never really been on a date, right? But like, what do you say when you go on a first date? And I think Lashane was like, I think it was in Clubhouse and Lashane was like, I'm asking everything because if I don't, I'm saying, I'm going to ask you like, what do you want in the near future? Because I'm not, even though we're dating or whatever, I still want to know if this is somebody that could be in my future, like potential. But a lot of people, majority of people, they go on dates and they're not asking the main questions.
No, they're not asking a lot of questions.
It's
a lot of flirting.
Yeah.
It's the surface stuff. It's the flirting. It's being coy. It's, the wordplay. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's over sexualized, unfortunately.
Yes.
And if sex happens before the conversation, your heart is already invested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your heart is already invested in a way that you may not really be able to fund it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this person has a piece of you without you really knowing the direction. There's no the lack of communication of what is it that you saw past today.
Yeah.
maybe they didn't see anything with you past today, and now
Yeah.
you're thinking, "Well, I thought we were going somewhere." No, he wasn't. That wasn't his plan. You know, that wasn't her plan, and it's like, wow, now you feel broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I even go there? Unless it was that I don't care. You know what I'm saying? This is just gonna be what it's gonna be. But what if that wasn't what it was for him? So I think initially, yeah, it's like you need to pump the brakes. You need to have those conversations. You don't want to scare the person off. Like, oh my gosh, she's asking about kids, and I just met her today. You know, we just met and decided to do lunch, and now I'm getting all this. But no,
But you need to know.
but you need to ask those questions.
I think I would ask family questions because I feel like sometimes, like, you know, like ask about their mom. You know, if they like if their mom, you ask those type of questions because then you know how they react. Like, oh, they have a relationship with their mom. Okay, so you automatically think it sets you up to think certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you ask about like their parenting situation, because if they don't have a mom, you know, or they have like a dad, just a dad by themselves.
Yeah.
How do you could tell like, oh yeah, I hang out with my father, I go fishing, we do this, and you know like, oh, he's kind of like a family person. You know, so it's like you can kind of get the answers to the other questions based on like certain questions that you ask. So I would probably start there.
Yeah, that's good.
Question: do y'all believe in? Because there's like a saying, the way a man treats his mom, that's how he's gonna treat you. Do y'all believe in that saying? Do you think it's true?
I think, I mean, in most of the situations that I've been in, I don't know. I think it just really depends on the person, because you can see in some relationships where the mom is very overbearing, and that's her son. No one's good enough. You know what I'm saying? And he knows that.
Yeah.
So you almost have this disposable vibe going on, like you're not really mattering as much.
Yeah.
Everything has to be approved through her, kind of thing. But the one thing I can say is when a mother raises a son to be a man and teaches him values, you see it. You know what I'm saying? He teaches him how a woman should be treated, how you should respect another woman. When those conversations are had at home, you see it. And that's something I have seen as a mainstay. They're much older in the mind. They're able to articulate what they want. It's a different man that shows up at the door than the one that has been coddled and given everything he wants, and he can do no wrong, and you know, it's just a different mind, a different man. So, in my experience.
Yeah. I think that plays a big part for me too. But I don't think that you can say, because I've dated guys that their mom were like the best moms. Like,
And they still
so like,
Still jerk.
I can't even be like, yeah, no. But then I've dated people that you could, you know, too. And then sometimes it's just like, you know, because you can be raised in a household where it's really restricted, like really strict or whatever. And so you end up in a relationship and think that's how your household has to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then now this is not even you. You're going based off the foundation and the way you was conformed. You know what I'm saying? How you were conformed growing up. Like, I mean, conditioned growing up. Like, okay, this is how it has to be. When my wife comes home, she needs to have dinner on the table, because when my dad came home, my mom had dinner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's some kids that will have moms and they're raised in good homes, but still have that type of attitude, and that would not work for me. I'm out.
That's that old mindset.
Yeah, like it's not even I don't mind having dinner on the table, but I'm not obligated to have dinner on the table.
Yeah, then he needs to really look for that person who wants to be
his mother.
Who wants to be there.
I mean,
some women that's what they want to do. They love the life
like,
of service,
being,
you know, the housewife and serving the food and putting meals on the table every day and at the same time. But in this world, it's a different world in a way, I think.
Yeah, you can always make it home for dinner.
Yeah, because women are working more, you know what I mean? And I love that. You know, so that would be hard for, you know, a woman full-time, have kids and all that, and probably get off later than her husband. And so she still have to go home and, you know, spend time with the kids, make dinner, do all that. That's a lot.
But there are
But it's
women
good to
doing
have
it,
exactly. But it's also good to have a husband that I don't pick up your slack.
Or
you
partner.
know,
Yes,
a partner.
Yeah.
And you would help and might have dinner ready. You know, so I love partnerships like that. I think that's great.
It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was watching this documentary on this woman who had postpartum. It was all about postpartum issues. And one of the situations, it's like she was that stay-at-home mom, had babies very close together, like one is 6 months, 1-year-old, 3-year-old, you know, and she was drowning and nobody could see it. But when they show like the pictures, like the photos, you could see that the house was in a disarray. You could see that she looked exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like no one saw it in the moment. You know, even after the fact, she took her life, took the life of her children. Or she tried to take her life, but she didn't succeed. But the babies perished. The husband then said, I could have done better. I could have been a better husband. I should have been there more for her. And we don't want to get to that place. And that's why I think what you're talking about today, about that communication, even if we are not feeling well, even if we are feeling exhausted, we should voice that. We should say, hey, I'm tired. I need help, you know. Because even though you love your family, doesn't mean you don't love them because you can't cook tonight. You know what I mean? Or because there's some laundry that needs to get done, it's okay. You know, get your rest, do what you got to do, and take care of you. That self-love. We come right back to self-love all over again.
Yes. Oh, so about the whole a man that treat his mother would treat you good or whatever. So for me, so my boyfriend, his mother passed when he was young, you know, so, but he had a great father. So he looked up to his father, like his father never cheated on his wife or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think it can be either or, you know, just how the home is, how a marriage
it's like
shows
because
values.
because they always, I didn't like, they used to say, oh, you're single mom, and then they're raising a single parent household. It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like a stigma, like, oh, you're a single parent, so they automatically assume you're not doing it.
And you're low income.
And you're low income.
Yeah,
so they put you in a box or whatever. And so I never really liked that. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of single moms that are out here that you don't even know that they're single moms because they getting everything done. You know, they're in the office corporate, then they at soccer games right after changing their shoes. You know what I'm saying?
They come home and make
and then they come home and they cook or order Chinese, depending. You know, but they still make sure they're providing that, and so the kid doesn't ever feel like, you know, oh well, oh your mom, you don't have a dad at home, or you don't have a mom at home. So I feel like it's just really based on like the type of household that you're raised in, or like the type ends up being the type of relationships you have with other people, I guess.
And open communication with your parents is important. You know, no matter whether it's just mom or just dad or both parents. Because sometimes you have both parents, but you always have the one that's communicating with the kids, you know. So communication, it does make a difference on how we respond in our personal day-to-day.
Yes. Okay, so I have another question for you, Mama. So in marriages, you know, there's like this saying, you know, the first year and the 5th year is really hard. So how do you feel about that? Is that true?
I don't necessarily agree. We were so busy and doing so much in the beginning stages of our marriage. I don't know that I could say the first year was the hardest year, or was a hard year, and then you hit that hump of year 5. I looked for it because I heard that too. But I didn't really get that. I think it was a continuum of adjustments for both of us. And so I didn't get that is the case. I think because we had already made the decision early on. We literally, it was like boom, 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 boom. Everything was like happening rapid fire, so fast. You know, from the time he was like, I want want to make you my wife, to the proposal, to getting married, planning a wedding. It was like so much going on.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had time to really look at all of those other things at that point, because it was still very new, still very honeymoon, still very building a business. We were always on that side of life from the very beginning, so I didn't see it.
So what would you say, now looking at the 1 and the 5, like what would you say were like the hardest part of, like, was the hardest part of, the hardest year of marriage, if you had one?
I could never just say that like the year was bad, but if I had to look at those early years, to me really didn't shake anything for me. I think I don't know if you guys, well, Jax may not know, but we, like, Stash is in a long distance relationship. Our marriage became long distance at a point, and because of work, you know, he had to work and leave us and go, and he would come back, you know, for periods at a time. And at first I was like, you know, in my mind I was like, my husband's off in battle. If he was in war, like, you create your mind, right? So it's like, okay, if he was out in battle, I'd have to be home like the women did of old, and they held it down, they milked the cows, they fed the kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking like women had to hold it down when wars took place. We were the ones running the country, for real. So I had that mindset, so I was good. But when we decided to leave up north and move to Georgia, I was already in the mindset that he was going to be home. So 2014 was a tipping point for me, because I had gone through 3 years of him going and coming, and that was rough.
Yeah.
You know, because you try to, some people smile on me and say, hey, I'm here, come over, can you hug me today? Or, you know, you start feeling a little needy at times because life is going on. You're still doing what you got to do. He's off, but you don't see him every day. And I was like, people take this so for granted when you see your husband and your wife every day. So to me, that was a commodity in and of itself.
Yeah.
So when 2014 came, I think that was the hardest time for me, because that's when, even though we thought everybody was moving down as one, he ended up having to work back in Manhattan. Yeah. So that was probably
The hardest
the shift. Yeah.
This long distance stuff, it's hard now that I understand. I'm like, dang.
How did you handle it? How was you mentally?
I think parts of me started shutting down, to be honest, because I tried to talk myself into it again, to say, okay, it's only going to be for a little while. But as time continued to pursue further and further, I was just like, what's happening? Because it wasn't like a week, it was like 3 months, 6 months. It was hard. You know, I went through every New Year's, we wouldn't bring New Year's in together. It was hard. You know what I'm saying? And these are things like we talk about, traditions that you set up as a couple, the couplese things that you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, is this going to speak about what our whole year is going to be like? Is this how we're bringing it? I had to say, if you don't do your laundry, your house is going to be dirty. It's like, I got to get my laundry done for 12 o'clock. You know?
That's how your year going to end. It's going to be like that all year.
So your mind is already like, oh, God. But it was difficult. I can't even really put it into words. I just had to really, you know, lean on God as much as I could, because I was in a new place. I only had a little bit of family here. All of my resources, business-wise and otherwise, was up north. And the love of my life was too.
Yeah, so it's like a fresh start.
Yeah.
That's a fresh start, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, so that was tough. But it taught me something. It gave me a chance to look at myself.
Self-love.
It gave me a chance to find me. Because like I told you, we are a busy couple.
Yeah.
Always busy. Always working on projects. Always in business. Always building projects and doing this and that. And you get caught in all of those things. Leaders in church. You just everywhere. People pulling you 50 directions. Parent. church, school, whatever. And to finally have a hard stop. 2014 was my hard stop. It was like, this is you now. What you gonna do about it? I had to look at me. So.
And sometimes you need that break. Sometimes you so used to, you know what I'm saying, like going routine all the time. And sometimes it's okay not to
be still.
Yeah, just to hang out and just, find. That's what I told you. After I had Riley, that was the time for me because I just found I realized what I really wanted in a relationship. I realized a lot of things, because I was scared to be a mother. I wore a happy face all the time, but my nerves was bad. Like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is not me anymore, So I went through a lot of that. I went to a lot of, do I really need to do this by myself? Should I just suck it up and, be with somebody just because I don't want to do it by myself? Or should I just lean on my village or whatever? So it was a lot of that. I was going to go back to New York. So it was like a lot of decisions that I had to make during that time period of being pregnant, not being in a relationship, and then just being a mom, and then realizing that my focus was just always Riley, So it was hard for me to get back to myself and realize, listen, you're mommy too. You know what I'm saying? You didn't make this baby looking like this. So like, for real, like I had to think like that. Like I didn't make this baby looking like this. So it's like I had to start doing my hair again. Started, loving back, getting my nails and doing the things, the little things for myself. Yeah, pampering myself to realize, okay, yes, you're a mom, but you're also Nastasia. So it was just like I had to really take myself back up. So for those 3 years, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I did. It was cool. I was in my little bubble.
Okay, so I have another question for you, Mama. Okay. So, throughout your marriage, so far, were there some really hard situations where you had to compromise with your husband?
All the time.
That's not who my father is. I'm just my father. Do you know who my father is?
I think because compromise and sacrifice are different.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to hold that? You want to hold that?
But then also they said, because we had a conversation about compromising with your spouse or your significant other, and you should have to compromise.
You know what it is though? Because compromise, and if we're looking at definition, it's almost accepting something lower than what you want, right? So that's a compromise. And the reason why I'm saying that you will do this all the time, because we do it all the time. When you step into any situation, you may have an idea of what it's supposed to be, but when you realize what it is, either you accept it or you reject it, right? But in a relationship or a marriage, if he's telling me he's not willing to do or he's not able to do what I need him to do at that moment, I can either accept it or I can be mad as hell and walk around upset all day. Yeah. And it's like, what's the win? There is no win if I do that. So there's times he just has I'm upset. And it should be okay that I'm upset. You know what I'm saying? So if we have to understand it on our end, and he's got to be like, okay, well, I see you upset, so he's got to just accept it. That can be a compromise for him. He can't make me happy in that moment. There's nothing he's doing that can solve the issue, or he doesn't feel he can. Or maybe just the way that the environment is, it's just not the time to address it. So you make a compromise. Because you have to move forward, or you will be stuck. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not so much that you're always, rejecting or neglecting you and what you need and what you want to have done. But at the end of the day, it is about peace. It is about happiness.
Yes.
It is about learning to understand that maybe he's not where I am, or maybe I'm not where he is at the moment. And we just have to figure out how to find our way back to where we can come together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's okay. Compromising is not a bad thing. I think people kind of make it into this whole big, you're losing yourself. No, you're not losing yourself. But you have to remember, you signed up for a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
you want to be single, then go be single. Then it can be all about you, and the minute they don't comply, toodaloo. And that's you spend a lot of time saying goodbye because it's never going to be perfect. You know, never going to be perfect.
What do you think about so Jackie, we had a conversation during the week, and one of the questions I think she wanted to add was what do you think about, I guess, exes? What was it? If you could be friendships before.
Yeah. So being married, having friends. Okay, so is it okay for your husband to have female friends?
Female friends. My husband has female friends. He has friends from college, and these women they came to our wedding. And again, some of them I didn't really know them until they came to the wedding, but I know how he is, and he's just a friendly guy. But he is that guy that has girlfriends. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that from the onset. I have a concern with new friends.
No new friends.
Hello.
You know how we
But you understand what I'm saying, because there's something that is developed over time that's unshaken. Like he has a friend who ended up marrying a business associate, and it's like now one big family. Yeah. So, but they were college friends, and now everybody's connected. But at the end of the day, someone just showing up, and all of a sudden you're a friend. How? And what's the need? What's the purpose?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What is the purpose? I don't go looking for friends at this moment. I've developed friendships. So if someone is a friend to you, then she should be a friend to me.
Exactly.
At this point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not like somebody that you're introducing to me from your past, but it's someone that just showed up. So that's different to me, and I think that's something that would have to have some questions.
And then I also feel like, friendships, you said you still have to set boundaries.
Absolutely.
You can't call at any time of the night.
We're talking about male friends, right? Opposite sex.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I'll call you at 2 a.m. today.
Yeah, girl.
I'm calling.
But yeah, you know.
Emergency bypass.
And don't let them cross, over those boundaries either, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like if you have, even before marriage and you have friends, there's just certain things you just don't discuss. Especially if they're of the opposite sex. There's no reason why you're discussing what goes on in your bedroom or those intimate details with someone else. You have to have that privacy so that they respect that person, because even if family, you guys had an argument, now they're taking sides, and now you get back together, it's a whole big issue. Yeah. It's like, no, you need to learn how to set the boundaries, say what needs to be said, but definitely keep your privacy.
Okay, so question. So would you tell your best friend anything that's going on in your marriage?
I think it really depends on what it is. Because I really, from my experiences from a young woman to now, I'm very cautious of my words and what I choose to disclose and why I'm disclosing it. You understand? Because again, if she's going through something and my situation is completely relative and it will help her go through it and get to, then that's different. Yeah. But if I'm going to vent to her about I'm not doing that.
You're not going to do that?
I'm not doing that. I have to be dog mad, and something has to really be in detriment for me to say, I need to talk to you. I need your advice. I need you to, you understand what I'm saying? Because everything else I should be able to handle. Yeah. I need to be able to handle that. But if it's something that I feel that's beyond me, that's when I'm reaching out for my lifeline.
Yeah, because I feel like, that's how I feel. I feel like if it's like, especially being married, because it's different when you're friends, it's certain things, we're still growing, so, we might call each other for advice on certain, little certain things or whatever. But, like, I feel like because I respect my husband. I don't feel like it's necessary because I would want him to have the same respect for me.
Right.
And so I wouldn't want to go and say, yeah, you know, he did this weekend or whatever. You know, like have a conversation. I feel like if it's something detrimental or maybe like I'm noticing certain signs that made me like or triggering me to think that okay, last time he didn't hit me, but he threw the glass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like things like that.
Yeah.
I might really be like, hey Jackie, this is what's going on or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing happened yet, but just wanted to make you aware, you know, the situation because then you'll know. Then they'll start seeing signs maybe that you can't see. You know, depending on the type of friend that you have. Like I would know if Jackie is you know what I'm saying, like uncomfortable. If something's going on with her, I would automatically be like, okay, she wouldn't have to say the words, you know. So it's just like with those type of situations, I think because maybe too the type of friendship that you build with that person is certain things that you know, okay, I can call this friend and say this. I don't even have to say anything. But then you got the friends that you like, yeah, no, we had a little argument. Yeah. Oh, you heard about that? Yeah. That's it. Like you don't go into full detail because you don't know if that friend is, you know, waiting for the opportunity,
to slide
you know, married or not. Because I be seeing some married women sleeping with the neighbor and they married. They're having cookouts and stuff and they all children. You know, next thing you know, Johnny's your brother and you didn't even know.
What?
I was watching this show. That's how
it's a Lifetime movie, right?
I was watching a Lifetime movie. It's kind of similar to that.
So I feel like there's different levels. I feel like if I'm just dating a guy and I feel like I should be able to talk to my girlfriends about
absolutely.
it. You know, but if I'm venting to you, just let me vent. I don't want you to say anything.
Yeah.
If I ask for your advice, then you say something, girl. But then also in doing that too, you know, it leaves room for if y'all make up. You know, that's gonna be in the back of your girlfriend's head. Well, girl, he did this already. You don't think he's gonna do that? You know.
Yeah.
But then I feel like in a marriage, no, I feel like what happens in my house, stay in my house. Unless I'm at the breaking point of, okay, I'm calling my girlfriend, I'm leaving. That type of situation.
Because you gotta prepare, because you don't know what's gonna happen to that time in the man, especially if the man thinks everything's okay in the marriage.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen. So that's why old people always say, make sure you have your good kitty. So you make sure you have your kitty. You let another person know I'm about to slide out.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because that would be me. I would let them know before marriage. Listen, I got my own apartment. If you act up, I'm out. I got my space.
Always.
I got my own.
Always have to make sure you bring something to the table. You know, you always just have I don't want to say just in case, but, you know, I was always raised, you know, always make sure you have your own. You know, so if you don't have an apartment, you have the money for an apartment if you need to do whatever, you know? So.
I wouldn't necessarily say that women always have an escape plan. You know, in that sense. You know why? Because I think that always leaves that in the back of your mind that it's not going to work.
True.
And I feel like if you continue to sow those seeds of doubt, then it's gonna show up in so many places because now it's like he's not gonna stay. This is not gonna work. Oh, you say that because you want to. It's everything. You don't want to cook because you want to leave. Oh, really? That's what's going on. You know what I mean? And it really does play a big part in that. But when you were saying something about, oh my gosh, about was it about the friend? Yeah, I think it was about the friend. You were talking about telling them. Oh God, I lost.
Oh, like telling your business, and then they always gonna have that in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
Oh, like a judgment.
Yeah, and
the
this thing, but the other thing too is your friends will also see things that you don't see.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
what I'm saying.
Sometimes it's just when you get to that point, that's when they can say, "I know."
Yeah.
And then they can either confirm,
girl, we been there,
or deny. Right? They can either confirm the situation, be like, I understand, or I saw this too. But I needed you to see it for yourself. And I totally support you whatever direction you want. And those are the kind of friends, when I say friends, that's the kind of girlfriends I have. They support whatever direction, and they support my husband.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not there to pull
They're
us
not
apart.
one-sided.
They want the best for us. They want us to win. And that's when I'm like, I know I don't need to go to my girl, hey, Kay. I need to go to her for things that we should be able to work out. You know what I'm saying? And that's also what counseling is for. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If you really have onset issues, then go to it's okay to go to a counselor
Yeah.
and have somebody that is objective to be able to sit there and not take sides and listen to you both. Because maybe there's something that he's been trying to say that he can't say to you. But it comes out when he sits in this room with this person.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes
My
that can
God.
be what it is.
Question. So let's say you're in a relationship, or you and your husband, you know, and you have a spouse that it's hard for them to communicate. How do you get through that? Like, what are ways to improve the communication?
Don't stop trying. Don't give up. And I'm saying this because my husband's Guyanese, so they don't always say everything. You know, and that's you know what I mean. They say a lot of things. They don't always say the things they need to say. And you begin, and that's the thing of growing with your partner and learning their language, their love language. Everybody's love language is different. And when you accept it as what it is, like, okay, I see he's working right now. I'm not gonna be able to talk to him and get the answer I want right now. You just have to know how to navigate the waters. It's the same thing.
Yeah, my grandfather, he used to yell all the time. All he did was yell, and I'm like, why are you yelling? I didn't even do anything. He's like, I love you, and I'm like, okay, I love you too. But you know what I'm saying? But that was his way. Like, you asked him for something. You're like, can I get $20? He's yelling about this $20 while he's going in his wallet to give you the $20 or whatever. So like that's what's how we was kind of raised, with just yelling. Like me and my dad be yelling at each other, and we not even arguing. We just yelling at each other for no reason. You'd be like, okay, and we be like, okay, you get his point across, but we like kind of the same. I gotta get my point across.
Oh yeah.
But I'm getting better.
Yeah,
I'm getting better now. I had a couple of breakdowns, but I'm getting better.
So, okay, question, Mama. So, what's like a, what is a breaking point? What's a breaking point? What's the one thing that you think will cause you to like leave a marriage or anything like that?
You in her business? Don't do that.
I would have said a deal breaker is cheating. But I will say that to me, I think I can forgive, right? I can forgive, and I can give you an opportunity to figure it out, or we work it out together. I can move past that. Physical abuse is a niet. That's
like another language, y'all.
Okay. Niet. That's German. I'm German. Niet. No. That's a no. We're not doing that, because that only leads to the worst. The worst about breaking you down as a person. It can lead to death. It can lead to so many things. Serious. And I'm a fighter, so we're gonna be fighting.
Right?
It's not gonna be you just hitting me. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a problem. So to me, that is a deal breaker. If it has to get to that point where you feel you can just put your hands on me,
you gotta go. We gotta go. We can't do this no more. I would say the same thing.
That's physical abuse.
Because it's not only
and verbal, just
because
abusive behavior. It's unacceptable.
You just don't get one; you get all of it.
Yes.
You get verbal.
Yes.
And then you start thinking lower yourself. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I was subject to domestic violence in the past, and it really breaks you down. For me, the hardest thing was I felt like he took my voice.
Yes.
And
I've been there.
That was the hardest thing for me. I battled over a year with that. Just that feeling of feeling hopeless because you took my voice. And it was like, how can I get my voice back?
Yeah.
it was hard though. It
Yeah.
was really, really
I
hard.
think at that point in your life too, like I knew it was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we were on a break, and you was on the phone with me, and I was like, call me on FaceTime. I didn't even. That's how those moments, and I was just like, just call me, and I'm not a crier, but I cried, and I was just ready, like, okay, who we finna beat up, because it was one of those really emotional, like you can't even say nothing, you know, to anybody, but then like if you don't say something, it could be worse, and being that we were on our break, we weren't as, you know what I'm saying, we weren't like as available to each other as we were before. So it was like scary for me, because I was just like, what am I gonna do? But I showed up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always, it was just like, no, this is what's going on. Because she didn't want to answer she would call me on the phone. Jackie is a FaceTimer. She FaceTime me. The minute Jackie don't FaceTime me, and then she ignoring my FaceTime and she's on the phone with me, I'm like, something's wrong with her. And I need to look in her eyes just to see what was wrong with her. And I was just like, yo, this is crazy.
I remember just laying, because the next day I remember waking up, and I remember, what happened the night before. And I remember, my face just being so sore. And I remember going to the bathroom and just looking at myself, and I just cried. And so then I jumped in an Uber, got to my mom's house, and I remember just laying on her couch for a week and just crying. And I don't know how I put it off, but I had my hood on. My mom didn't see my face until I told her, probably like 3 or 4 days later. And I didn't tell her, Stassi.
Oh no, yeah.
Because
I called Auntie,
and I was gonna because we was talking, I told her that I was gonna tell my mom what happened, but she beat me to the punch. She called in, and I got a call from my mom. But I just remember,
Girl,
being
no.
down for like a week and just cried and woke up. I did, eat, just watch TV and just cried. And then it hit me again, because I had a job opportunity, and I remember I had to put makeup on to cover my black eyes.
Yeah.
And I just felt so hopeless. I was like, he took my voice.
That's what abuse will do.
It was so bad. I was like depressed for like a year. It was just like, how do you come back from this?
But I think you came out stronger.
Oh, yeah.
And it definitely made you appreciate, I guess, yourself more. Because we've always been honest in our friendship, and you know how I felt about past relationships, and I felt like you kind of always lost a part of you in the relationships that you were in, which is normal when you're going through certain things, and so like with you dealing with that, I think it was hard for me as a friend, because that was a relationship I chose to kind of let Jackie do Jackie, not be in her business. When I felt otherwise about the whole situation, but I had to be like, you know what, I gotta put her in God's hands. And the last thing I said to Jackie was, I'm gonna give you your space for you to do what you want to do, but I'm always here for you. I'm always gonna be a phone call away. And she used the phone call. So I already knew from the first call that I got from her, I already knew that it was adding up to where not the abuse part, but I knew that she was on her way to ending the marriage or whatever, and so from the first phone call, I already knew, and I was just waiting for her to tell me. I didn't say anything to her, I didn't ask her any questions. I was just like, she's gonna eventually tell me what's really going on. But for her to need to hear my voice, to talk to me about regular stuff that I'm like, okay, girl, you just come out the river, asking all my business, kind of thing. But I knew it was her way of trying to, one, see how I'm gonna react to her. Two, because it had been almost, that's the longest we hadn't talked, 8 months, 9 months. So it was good for the both of us, because I think it made our friendship a lot stronger. And it was able for her to know, Stassi is gonna be there, and I know Jackie's gonna be there, So it's just I felt like it gave us a stronger foundation for our friendship, just being apart.
I agree.
And like, I hated that you went through that. I hate that any woman went through that. I went through it or whatever, but I'm crazy, yeah. So I didn't take it as hard. I think I maybe have dealt with it down the years, but in the moment, I was like how mom is. I'm fight till you die. Like I'm gonna fight you back. I'm gonna make you think I'm just as crazy as you are. So I think with that, I was a little bit more stronger with the physical part. But as far as like in the mental,
it's the
that
mental,
was the
mental abuse is,
yeah, I just got over that.
I think
it's
that
reckless.
was the worst.
Yeah,
It's
that's
reckless.
worse than you
That's
hitting me.
worse.
Yeah,
That's worse because there's still times, even though I went through that situation. What? Oh my gosh, maybe 20 something years ago.
You still have flashbacks, right?
I still can see it. I took pictures of myself.
Me too.
So that I would remember that happened to me.
And don't let
that
it
I wouldn't and not let it happen again. But and it's funny because it doesn't start there though. It always starts with the words.
Yeah.
Like how we've been talking about communication in marriage. It starts with the words. It starts with the tone. It starts with the negative or derogatory comments. It starts with alienation. Like alienating you from everyone that loves you and cares about you. It starts with just the condescending or making you look like, why is he talking to you? Who is that guy? Like, he works at the cash register. I don't know who he is. You know what I mean? It's those kind of things, that jealous rage and crazy that you put up with. You're like, I don't even understand what he knows. Why does he know I love him? You've done everything you can. That's not a good thing. It's like learning that toxicity. Now you know. It's not going to be nothing that you have to question.
Red flag, time to leave.
Hello.
But yeah, that right there is a topic in itself. But we're hitting the top of the hour.
Yes.
But I'm so happy that you came on the show.
Thank you so much.
We want to bring you back to the little spots.
It was so awesome.
But it was some great, we do appreciate the insight into marriage. It was some great intimate questions, something that, may, I guess, for me, I know, like, open my idea a little bit more into marriage. Because, I've always been, I'm not getting married. But, like, getting the information, or whatever. But getting the information that I'm getting now is, like, it's like, more knowledgeable. You see, but I'm fortunate to have a great example of marriage, and everything's always been transparent. It's never been, we've been there for the good, the bad, and so as a family unit, I do appreciate having both a mom and a dad. So, what I'm saying? To show us this is what love is, it might not be perfect every day. And I love that they're like that with us. They include us in that part. And then, what I'm saying? It's like, let's go. We're going to talk about this. But yeah, thank you so much for like coming on and, giving us that insight on marriage.
You are more than welcome. Anytime.
So it's been another episode of She Thought It.
I said it, and thank you, babies, for listening.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Bye.
Love y'all.